sure I close that window in case we get feedback. I think we're good. Meeting is streaming. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see a copy of the agenda?
I just see a
Folks
house.
in the room.
See a house.
Can you folks see a copy of the screen joining us remote?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we
Nope.
have, we'll just, Mark will follow along with us.
Mark, are you on the phone?
Wait a minute. Yes, I'm in my truck,
Okay, well,
eating a donut and drinking coffee, almost like I'm there. So
all good. I hope your tier selector is in the P position then.
We forgot to bring our own.
All right,
oh,
Bill, I'll hand it to you here.
Okay, so I guess our roll call here at the office of CDRPC, myself and Jessica Carpenter here for Albany. We've got Gary here for Cohoes.
And I'm Shane Lewis, yep.
Shane from Cohoes. We've got Mark Hendricks for Rensselaer. We've got Andrew Golden for Troy. And Watervliet not attending. We've got Maggie from Green Island. We got Gary also for Green Island, but and we
It's got its own shirt on.
do not have sewer district representation.
No.
This time we've got Martin Daly and we've got Tom and we've got all here. So so we have a quorum. We're ready to do business.
Mhm.
Reading and acceptance of the July 14, 2022 minutes.
All right, give me the grammar edits here. Did I misspell something? Or the Easter eggs, find the Easter eggs.
Yeah, we've
I
got,
think we're pretty
we
good.
got minutes that identify finding typos.
Yeah. Which is good. It means people are reading them. I like, you know. Transposed properly.
So does anyone have any comments in regard to the minutes? We'll, if not, we'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make the motion to accept.
Thanks, Maggie. Have a second?
I'll second.
Gary, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Financial report, Tom.
Again, other than Albany throwing a lot of junk around, I mean,
It's not junk.
that's paperwork, you know? It represents a lot of good things.
Yeah, it's a lot of concrete being poured.
Yeah.
We're showing at month end, the cash balance of 1,141,000, of which 350 is being transferred to Albany, I think at about the same time. It just happened to pass after the date. And that brings us to community balances of about 1,145,000, again, not representing that 350 that was paid over. We're about 60% complete on the construction budget and approximately the same on the total budget. Any questions on the report?
Anybody have questions? If not, we'll move on to vendor invoices.
Okay, looks like I have these a little bit out of order. I apologize.
Insurance policies.
Oh, yes, insurance. Let me just check the agenda. We may have insurance policies as the next item. We can't pay those until we authorize them. Yep, so we got insurance policies next. The corporation has 2 annual insurance policies that we put out to, I'll say, bid from an insurance vendor called Pool Insuring. They do, they solicit insurance policies for 2 items. One is general liability for the corporation, and one is a public officers insurance policy to cover the board members of the corporation. General liability is really tiny, given the fact we have no staff, we have no offices, and it is quite small. $577 is the quote for the general liability line. For the public officers line, the quote is, the premium is $4,850 with a small carrier fee that goes to the Cool Insuring takes a cut for their servicing of soliciting these policies. So just a standard update provided, the same as in prior years. The coverage limits didn't change. They are really just interested in any changes to the corporation as they relate to our budget amounts for our particular projects, which I guess is a tie to what our potential liabilities may be when it comes to the public officers policy, but generally in line with past policies when it comes to cost and coverage limits.
Okay, and Cool became Gallagher.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Cool. Yes, they renamed to Gallagher. They're not the holders of the policy, but they are the solicitors and brokers. Yeah.
Okay,
So we would need just an action by the board to authorize the president to execute the policies and then to pay the invoices or pay for the policies to put them in effect for the year.
okay. Does somebody want to put that in the form of a motion?
I'll make a motion, Andrew Troy.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thanks, everybody. We'll see these again when it comes time for vendor invoices, which is right now. We have the following invoices that we've received. We have three from the corporation rather. One is for CDRPC, that is our services from March 1st through June 30th. Like past invoices, we have a portion of our work that's covered from a 90% Department of State grant, which applies to fringe and to staff time. They don't allow overhead to be put into the grant. So we take the remaining balance of that and apply it to the corporation, to the communities rather. So our invoice totals $30,000, but the invoice totals to the communities is substantially less. We have our two costs for our insurance renewal, general liability coverage, and our directors and officers insurance that are corporation expenses. We received two invoices from Albany for Keller. That's pay app 13 and pay app 14. They're both full freight as the WQIP grant has been exhausted and the remaining portion of EFC's grant is applied at the end of the project. Cohoe's two invoices, one from Carver and one from Arcadis, both for Columbia Street. The Columbia Street project does receive grant from Carver. So that particular project, the grant is applied. Do we have any questions about the invoices? Any comments? Gary, you're looking at me like you have a question?
Well, the money's coming from the WQIP
QIP.
provided by DEC.
Yeah.
Not Carver.
Oh, I misspoke. That's a WQIP funded grant.
It's a
Less Carver if they're watching on
So is that grant drawn down yet?
We're drawing down on.
mhm. There's two pay apps I think that have been submitted to the state
Yes.
so far.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is we would pay to the extent that we have that cleared through EFC for disbursement.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And we're still trying to get that onto our cost summary to get that dispersable. But we've been talking about that. I don't know if that is showing up on our cost summary yet, but
I only have Troy with me today.
Yeah.
Troy stuff.
okay.
And that might be an 01 project.
Yeah, I think it is an O1.
Yeah.
It is,
So
yeah.
even if we settle on 00, that'll be part of the 01 discussion.
Yeah, we're just trying to make sure that that gets.
Oh,
How
yeah.
much is the WQIP grant? No.
1.938 million.
I have another call pending for 0713 Street. The mother and daughter are.
Mark, is that you from Aggie? Aggie? Thank you.
No,
Oh, you're good, Mark. Wrong Mark.
Okay. Do I have a motion to pay the invoices?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Gary. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Maggie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. EFC disbursements and reconciliations is next on our agenda.
Yep, just as an update, and everybody's familiar with this, we have been working with ESC on the 0-0 financing to make sure everything's dispersible, so Troy and Albany can go long-term. We have meetings scheduled with EFC coming up at the end of the month, I believe.
30th, yeah.
30th, yeah, right at the end of the month with Paul Johnson and staff to be able to determine what's left and what steps need to be taken in order to move to long-term, and whatever else needs to be cycled through them can be added during the long-term project. After it's gone to long-term, two people. Tim's here and Mike is here. Sorry, Tim. Sorry,
Oh.
Mike.
Gotta admit,
Yep. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hopefully you weren't in the waiting room too long. I apologize. I just saw that note come up. Okay. The book muted. So things are moving along, just trying to make sure that we get projects into the into being dispersible, so EFC can actually provide funding for those.
yeah,
projects.
yeah, and the Albany's last portion of the 0-0 was all grants, so we wanted.
Yeah, you want to use it up.
We wanted to, and yeah, so that I guess there's already been a couple of maturity extension of the maturity on Troy's, and there's been one extension of maturity on Albany, so we want to get them done. So I guess the other thing to mention, in case everybody's working on their WIA and IMG type stuff, that we're planning on for our 1404, which is going to be what our final financing for Albany is. We're going to go after WIA and IMG funding, because we should be able to apply for IMG funding for those projects. It's intermunicipal. We've got an intermunicipal agreement. It's potentially 40% of the what we have listed as $14.5 million of project costs. So that we think would be more advantageous if we can do that than the WIA, which is 25% of
Right.
project costs. So that's what we're intending to be doing for the September 9th deadline of the applications. And it still is uncertain to us what exactly this BIL might also add to the mix. We're hoping it needs more money,
Yeah. Who knows?
especially if we're already shovel ready and into doing some of these projects.
You're thinking logically, though.
Logic has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, we're planning a whole day meeting on August 30th with Paul Johnson. We really want to try to make Paul Johnson feel a little better. He gets really worn down with all these projects.
And Chris will be at that, correct?
He did RSVP to it, so.
Anything else about EFC?
No, just trying to make sure everything, all the dots are, all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed. There's still a few projects that need some materials put together for City of Troy. We're working through that. So.
I just wanted to confirm Troy, Cahoes, and Waterville's not on. Is that what you said? Is Waterville
Troy's
here?
on.
Troy's, Andrew's here.
Well, no, Troy, but Waterville are they on?
Waterville's not on.
Okay.
No.
Did
They don't
you-
have any remaining projects. They're just, and other than Big C, they're not financing anything.
Oh, yeah,
So
they
I-
all got disbursements though on August 11th
And
that
we
I
used it.
submitted for
Okay.
them, and I just want to make sure
We wanted to get that.
that
money.
everything comes back to Albany
Thanks.
once this is all approved today.
This
We
week.
can, I'll give Joe Lasvita a call
Okay,
and.
Yeah.
see
but I
if
want to
we'll
confirm you
transfer.
did get the disbursement, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Andrew, do you know if Troy received the disbursement?
I do not know.
Okay,
Chris will be back in a little bit and I usually reach out to him after these meetings and we meet up anyway. We'll kind of, and I give him the list of requests from you folks and then we go from there.
Yeah, he's been hand carrying checks to Martin to keep this moving along, because we really have to keep watch our cash flow and all the, doing a $50 million project.
Yep.
Right, on a project that size, absolutely. No, I understand.
And we'll put an invoice together today for the approved color invoices.
Yeah, we'll get that out right away.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Beaver Creek project is we did send a letter into DEC, just mentioning about that we now think March will be the date that we'll be able to have beneficial use. And didn't hear anything back from DEC, but they had suggested we send something in.
Put it in writing.
So we did. So Beaver Creek's moving along. They're just doing a lot of concrete work. If you go there now, there's a lot of roofs now on different areas, and soon they'll be putting in some duct work, getting the mechanical and electrical folks in once they have enough of a building to put it in to shelter the equipment. A lot of the sluice gates are in. The screens haven't been put in yet, but the screens are there on the site.
Oh, good.
And the tipping buckets for the flushing system, all that's there. They just have to figure out what stuff they want to put in before they have to pour concrete over the tops of stuff, or some areas they've got precast over the tops. You know, we needed some of that to be able to, in the future, take large tanks out, like
Right.
big odor control tanks and big chemical storage tanks for chlorine and sodium bichloride. So things are moving along. If we can share some photos with folks, maybe do that at the next meeting, bring up on the screen. So
What's going on with the throttling gate?
throttling gate, they're still waiting for the arrival of the gate. Yeah, was Tim on the?
Tim is here, yeah.
Hi, Tim, how you doing? Can you hear
Good,
us?
Bill. What's up?
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about how the new screens were doing at the South plant.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good. They're troubleshooting some problems with like the conveyor. There was problems, a couple of times with the conveyor, dropping things outside of the discharge areas on the dumpsters, but they've been working on that. But the screens have been working great themselves. We haven't seen any real problems either without the gate.
So the gates are getting still through sort of a startup phase. The screens
Yep.
went in first, and then the conveyor, the washer compactor system, a lot of components and control system stuff to work out to make it fully automatic, I think.
Yep.
Still kind of in a manual mode.
Yeah. Yep. But they've been working well. They
Yeah,
take a
so-
lot of material out.
So it's helping out with your sludge bumps and things.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, so yeah, the throttling gate, Keller is doing that project and just waiting for the equipment to come in. That's going to be tricky with bypass pumping that's going to be required. And so we're moving along. That's the only project we have going on in the long-term control plan. Gary's got two projects that's going on. What's up with River and Newcastle?
Well, Newcastle, unfortunately, it's tough getting them to the site. I just had to write a letter Tuesday indicating we wanted a revised schedule because they were supposed to have appeared in July and they didn't show. Then it was going to be August. Well, it's mid-August and they haven't arrived yet. And we keep on indicating we need this project started. Now, fortunately, the consent order date is next year. And the contract date for them being complete is like June of 2023. One of the reasons we had pushed it to that was there's an awful lot of plannings and whatever, because they gotta build construction wetlands. And we were afraid that if they were doing it in the fall and we got an early freeze in the fall, it might affect some of the plants. So we said, we'll put additional time in the back end in springtime in case they gotta come back and redo large parts of the planning and whatever. Well, that kind of backfired on us. So Newcastle, I think, has taken advantage of the extended construction time. And I think that they feel that it's not urgent for them when they give us a date to actually be there doing the work. So anyway, sent a letter out indicating I wanted a revised schedule by next Tuesday. And that we wanted to see some action and a firm schedule. Columbia Street, Carver's doing well. We have hit a few utility problems on Columbia Street, which we kind of figured. We did a lot of test pits, and we had to start moving the alignment and things like that, but it's nothing that ends up being detrimental to the project. But there are additional lines in there, obviously, that nobody knew about, including National Grid. So they're, like I said, they're coming along. It looks like we'll still be able to make the date for all the pipe work being complete for the consent order of October 15th. We may not have all the green infrastructure. We got a couple of bioretention basins that we got to put in. Some of that stuff, we got to rebuild the rain garden. But as for the pipe being in and being able to carry flow, that'll be all in by the consent order date.
So we'll be able to have a compliance letter by the
Right.
compliance date.
Yep.
And I did check, it's in our own on Columbia Street.
And Polk Street in Troy, Andrew.
Polk Street, we've got materials on site for, it's been awarded, and I think they're starting in a couple weeks, so that's moving along nicely.
So that, I forget what that compliance date was, but is that a next year compliance date?
Oak Street is 12/15/22.
22.
Mhm.
So we should be done by then. Yeah, we've got everything on site, so. Chris is feeling pretty good about it, and in turn, I'm also feeling good about it.
Okay, so Polk Street looks good. So those are the three projects we've got going on. And Van Buren Street needed to be designed.
Which I think they're almost completed with all of that stuff. Chris didn't say too much on Van Buren, but Polk Street, he wanted me to make sure that you guys knew that was in good shape, so.
Okay,
Yeah, Van Buren has a plan and spec date of 10/1, so just communicate to Chris,
Okay.
That would be
make sure we nail that.
Yep.
be on our 04.
yeah, so I think that's about all we need for project updates. Do we have other business?
No, I will start putting together a semi-annual report and get that out for community review and signatures before I submit it to DEC. That'll contain a copy of the language we use in our letter to communicate about the Beaver Creek facility. And then DEC requested that we just memorialize the sampling program schedule within that letter. That will kick it to the next year because Big C will be going through the dose testing. Happily, when Ryan communicated back about that sampling program, he replied that we really only have a start date and an end date for a post-construction compliance monitoring program as far as DEC is concerned. And they don't consider the years for the post-construction compliance program as milestones. So we have a program, it's 5 years, 5 cycles. There are certain elements we want to make sure we nail. So 3 years up front, we wait a period until Big C is done. We do a sampling program, Big C is done, and then we do one to wrap up the entire program for our final report card. And they don't consider each of those sampling programs to be milestones. So that's good news. So that means that we
So
have
we don't
something
have to
from
do
them
it
to.
Non-compliance.
No non-compliance, no amendment to the order, no paperwork back and forth between us to memorialize anything different. So I'll just characterize that within the report to put an acknowledgement about that program into the record, and we're good to go.
Okay,
That is, when we get that report ready, that is one of the things that EPA wants to see too.
Yeah,
okay, well, I guess a bunch of our communities have had EPA audits now on their CSOs, so it seems like they're gonna hit them all.
Oh, yeah, that's why I see it.
Has Troy been hit yet?
oh, you guys got notice too.
I think they did.
I think they did.
Oh, wow.
So if there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Gary. Give a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Maggie.
Okay, well,
Hey,
all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks, everybody. When's our next date, Martin?
Our next date is the second Thursday in September, and
Eighth?
it is the 8th, yeah, because the
Yeah,
first is on
that's
a
early,
Thursday.
early this month.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. All right,
Alrighty.
bye, folks. Thanks.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
So long. Bye, everybody.